one which will take you to many communities in this province, but it will also give you a chance to see Ontario in all its diversity and indeed in all its humanity. You will be visiting hospitals, you will be visiting hospices, you will be visiting universities and schools, you will be visiting people as they work, and yes, people as they play. You will see a province that is rich, rich in its people, rich in its resources, and yet a province that also knows it must care for those who are in need and for those who deserve justice. And that is the province which you will be visiting, and we are very proud that you have taken so much time to be with us, that your visit is going to be as extensive as it is, and proud of the number of people and number of communities, number of visits and number of events that you are undertaking. It is remarkable, and we take it, sir and ma'am, as a tribute to us, and we can only say that you have our loyalty and affection in return. If I could just say one final word of welcome. There are many here who we must think of as we approach November the 11th. We think particularly of those who have shared a sacrifice with people throughout the Commonwealth, a sacrifice that came from the fight for freedom. And you will find, sir and ma'am, deep loyalty and affection in this community. You will find it wherever you go in Ontario, and you will find deep ties of loyalty and deep ties of affection for the experiences that we have shared together. I hope you will see something of the real Ontario. I hope you will see something of its strengths. I hope you will see something of its humanity. And I hope, sir and ma'am, that you will, above all, see us as we are, and we in turn are so delighted to be able to see you here and to be able to welcome you here in this city and in this community, in this part of Canada, in this part of Ontario, representing the province, indeed the country at this moment as a whole. Thank you very much, and may this be the beginning of a splendid visit. Thank you.
Lieutenant Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Premier, ladies and gentlemen, we are most grateful, my wife and I, for your extremely kind and thoughtful words, and we greatly appreciate the welcome we've received here this morning. I'm afraid that we haven't started very well by keeping you all waiting for what is rather a longer time than I imagined. But if I may say so, the weather is rather familiar. So it's a home from home is all I can say. But as far as we are both concerned, it is a real pleasure to be back here in Canada again. It's several years, I'm afraid, since we were able to be here. But unfortunately, there are one or two other countries that we have to visit from time to time. But on this occasion, it really is a particular pleasure for us to have both our children with us so that they can be introduced to Canada and indeed be introduced to the wonderfully warm, friendly welcome that always exists here in this country. I'm only sorry that it wasn't possible to bring them here today, but they're having a chance, I hope, of finding out a great deal more about the parts of Canada that we can't always reach on these occasions. Mr. Premier, we're both looking forward enormously to the next week in which we'll be visiting various parts of Ontario. And it is, as I say, a great pleasure to be here in Sudbury today and to have a chance of seeing something of this city, and indeed to meet some members of its inhabitants. Thank all of you, more than I can possibly say, for such a heartwarming and stirring welcome. And we look forward to seeing you on many future occasions, I hope. Thank you, Mr. President.
Now, I think we'll go and sign the book. Okay?
Maybe depart a term procedure, perhaps.
And maybe just left up to His Royal Highness
If
as
he
he
felt
should
up
so
to it,
choose.
that's right, yes.
Again, His Royal Highness signing the.
I would have loved to have heard the princess speak. Of course, there's no occasion for her to, I suppose, but
I think
she does make some...
the protocol is probably
That's
quite
right.
strict. It
Yes.
Maybe even something that in our contemporary society we might find a little bit
Hard to
different,
take,
you know.
yes.
But it's years of history and protocol that they follow.
Exactly, and it is our history, and we must accept it. But she does make a lot of personal appearances and does speak frequently, so we've just never had the occasion to hear her. I guess they're making the way to Science North.
They're going to
now.
go to Science North, and they'll be accompanied by their honors and the Premier and Arlene Curly Ray.
They're entering the main lobby of the Science North.
Again,
see
stopping
Jim
Jim Marchbank,
then,
agreeing
yes.
by the Chief Executive Officer of Science North.
And you proceed down the tunnel through the exhibit building elevator, I believe.
Yes, and then we will leave them in the elevator.
Yes.
I'm going to say that.
As much as I'd like to get in there, but
we'll pick them up again
right.
as they come out on the fourth floor as they begin to look at the scientific displays. Now, I'm sure you can see the crowd there as they begin to disperse. Old and young. Looks like just such
That's
a
right.
varied group of ethnic backgrounds. and
Exactly,
histories
all
that are there.
ages. all
Andrea, are
sizes.
you still with us?
I'm still with you, Jeremy.
Andrea, what is the feeling now?
Everyone's a buzz. I think everybody's knees are a little bit weak, and everyone was extremely excited. And I don't know if you heard the cheers when Prince Charles, got up to speak and give his welcome. It's phenomenal.
Well,
phenomenal.
Premier Ray spoke very, very well. I think his
Very
greeting
well.
to them was wonderful.
I hear band in the background, Andrea, is that correct?
Pardon me?
Do I hear a band in the background?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You do hear a
there
band
we
in the
are.
background.
There they are now. And the honor guards, the color guards are marching away. We didn't actually get a chance to see them come in. We picked up
Wonder
our
where they're
cover.
Oh, too bad, because it really was a phenomenal
And they're
experience to see
leaving
them
now,
walk in.
I'm sure, to probably in their buses. And I'm sure that crowd will begin to disperse shortly. Or I wonder, Andrea, do you think maybe the crowd will wait until
Well, I
after
would-
lunch to
I
see
would-
another place?
You know, Jeremy, I don't know. There's a few people down here that had lunches with them, so maybe they will stay and wait until the luncheon is through.
It's not really that cold out either that
No,
they could
you know,
easily stay.
With everyone standing huddled so close together, the warmth that you feel from everyone and from just them walking
Emanating
in.
from their Royal Highnesses
Yes,
as well.
definitely.
I see you have been surrounded by more media personnel there, Andrea.
Yes, I have been.
Trying to get interviews. And
Yes,
again,
everyone's-
we're listening to that wonderful band and watching the honor guard and the color guards.
You certainly were in a good position to see them, weren't you,
I was
Andrea?
in a great position. You know, I was a handshake away from Princess Diana. I'm really sorry that I didn't get to shake her hand.
Well, you were close, so that's more than we've got here.
Definitely. She looks phenomenal. They both do. I mean, very warm, very friendly people.
Are they allowing the crowd now to disperse through the barricades, Andrea? Or are they still controlling that
not
quite
as
a bit?
not really. I think they're trying to control the crowds, but I think people are making their way out.
I'm sure all those school children, too, are trying to find their own buses. Some of them walked. There's Daniel Odette. I see there lots of children that I know there.
Lots
I
of
wonder
children.
if they have to go back to school or if they've got the day off.
No, they've got to go back to school.
I see.
Because I didn't provide babysitting if they didn't.
Oh, I see.
That's right.
Well, I guess they...
So I'm
they're heading
hoping if there's any school administrators hearing the sound of our voice, please take our kids back to school. Yes, it's wonderful. Some children, of course, did remain in school, and there were some things provided for the children. I know
Probably
at McLeod-
monitors.
Well, I know at McLeod Public School, the children that remained behind, some of them got to see a famous skier a lady skier, and I don't
That's
know her
right.
name.
Karen Gemmell, I believe it is, from the Ontario ski team.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. Is that for the WELL program, Jeremy?
Yes, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's the crowd just dispersing now. Wonderful
Moving out,
job
moving
by
out.
Sudbury Regional Police personnel.
And directing
as well as
all that.
OPP, RCMP.
Trying to direct. I'd hate to try and get in my car now and leave the premises. I think I'm here for the duration.
Yeah, I
got
think
a good
actually
shot.
anyone trying to get up and down those main corridors would be advised to just wait for a while.
We just got a good shot of the yacht club, and I see the guns are still there.
Well, again, they use those
Yeah,
big trucks
yeah.
to move them, so they'll be there for a while. We're now inside Science North, Louise. You and I aren't. We're back in the studios of TV7, but we are inside Science North, and
I wonder if these are special guests inside here, or who these people are.
I'm not sure who's been invited to be inside Science North at this point in time.
That looked like a
Yeah, you almost can begin to spot some of the security personnel, can't you?
yeah, he
after a while?
definitely looked like one.
There's quite an old person hanging in the rack there.
Yes, he's been hanging around for a while, I'd say.
There's their Royal Highnesses there just underneath the light. I'm sure this will be an interesting day for them. Can you imagine the experiences that they've had through their 10
All
years
the many
together.
visits they've made, this is probably a little bit more unique than others.
And again, still smiling, and
Oh, it must be.
Jim Marchbank.
Their facial muscles must ache at the end of the day.
I must say, Jim Marchbank, of course, has done a wonderful job. He'll be not running for re-election again in Ward 6. He'll be
No, he is not
terminating his
this year.
term
That's
there,
right.
and has done a good job.
Indeed
So
he
we are
has.
in what is called the sensory surround area of
On the fourth
Science
floor.
North. In this area, it reveals the complexities of the human body. In fact, you can learn how to perceive the world around you at a sensory level. Some of the things they'll be able to do, whether they will be able to do, is to look inside your eye.
Try to lip read.
Try to lip read, right?
Oh, and test the noise level of household appliances. Well, I could tell them what that is.
And they'll be able to experiment with your sense of touch.
That's the Alex Bauman Human Performance Lab. Compare your level of fitness with that of the world's greatest athletes. I wonder
We
if
don't
he's
want
going
to
to
do
give that a
that.
go.
We don't
No,
want
I
to do
don't,
that,
but
do
he
we,
might.
Louise? No, we don't. But those are, it's a wonderful, again, Science North is a hands-on
That's right.
place. It's not to go and just look or observe. It really is designed to be hands-on.
Exactly.
And designed for children as well, and young people to be active
Children
and involved.
absolutely love it. My grandchildren come to visit, and every time they come, they say, let's go to Science North. And they get as big a thrill every time they go.
Of course, you can spend 2 days
Oh,
in Science
easily,
North. We're just going to go
easily.
through. There's the
There's
view
the
on
eye, yes.
trying to look inside the human eye. And of course, it has taken some of the world's best exhibitors and scientific personnel to put these
Put all this together.
displays together.
It's really quite an awesome sight.
And again, I'm wondering how well their Royal Highnesses would be able to stick to this quite tight timetable to go through
I wonder
Science
how-
North.
if they're
I'm sure
running
their
through
children,
it.
when they finally get up here, will. It is my understanding, and I'm only, again, repeating this, I'm really guessing it. It was my understanding from a media report that their children may come tomorrow kind of incognito. Let them being children coming with their security personnel, their nanny, and I think it was said that hopes that the children would more fit into the crowd.
Crowd, yes.
Because it wouldn't be any fun for their children today.
No.
Just, you'd be saying, don't touch, come on, we've got to move
Exactly,
along a little
yeah.
further. Again,
How much
we're
longer do we have to stay?
in the sensory surround area of Science North.
Yes, I'm wondering, they wouldn't close the center for them tomorrow.
No,
They would have
I
just
don't
meld
believe
into
so.
the crowd.
I think
yeah.
that's the idea. Again, allowing them to.
But then again, if that word is out, that they are indeed doing that, I think that would probably entice a lot of people to the Science North tomorrow to catch a glimpse of the
well,
two
to
royal
see
princes.
the 2 royal princes were done up in their jeans and hats the other day, and I
They're
don't know if you
adorable.
could spot them other than maybe their accent. But
That's true.
again, taking a look inside Science North, we just noticed that there's still quite a large crowd.
They're still at the Humanisphere.
What a wonderful opportunity for people like Jim Marchbank and the personnel at Science North.
A thrill.
Again, once in a lifetime treat to be in the right
indeed.
place at the right time.
Yeah, what he's asking is if you get the sides to be.
And lots of wonderful smiles still. Eh?
Getting some very good footage here.
Yes, because we are in a very contained space.
right.
Lighting is difficult there. We are one of a number of media personnel, of course, being allowed in. Since 1953, February was 3, and we've watched a city mature. This is indeed a highlight for us, because if we didn't have Science North, if we didn't have the Cancer Treatment Center, the tremendous work done in the our universities, and again, of course, you're involved in the theater arts and the performing arts and how that has matured over the years, we wouldn't be recipients of a royal visit.
No, exactly. And we have everything that a large city has on a smaller scale, albeit, but still in all, we can hold our head up high, and we don't take second place to anyone.
And so we're just so proud today to be a part of this very,
Indeed we are.
historic
Indeed
event. And again, our commendation to our camera personnel involved there in that very closed area.
That's right.
So many other media people. We see CBC television
very
camera
well organized.
there,
Yes, we can see their monitor.
very proud of our TV7 staff.
Indeed.
Our technical crew. So far, our feeds
Top flight stuff.
from Science North have been excellent. We've gotten good camera coverage,
Clear, yeah.
good shots.
And Andrea's done a wonderful job at the site.
Excellent
itself.
audio coverage. Again, this is community television. It's a television for our community, about
For
our
the
community.
people, that's right.
Many volunteer staff working today to bring you these pictures, as well
And
as some
I'm
of our
certainly
paid staff.
proud to be co-anchoring this with you, Jeremy. It's been a thrill, and I
Well, we've
think
both
it's
been this a long time. A little
Yes.
highlight for both of us to cover this.
Yes, indeed. I'm taping it. I don't know about you.
I'm going to get a copy of it, is what I'm going to going
There's
to
a
do.
good shot of Her Royal
Somewhere
Highness.
along the line, Her Royal Highness has received another bouquet.
That's right.
Because again,
Matches
she
her
has
outfit
been,
very nicely.
Been passing them on. We can just now,
There we go. Now,
this
I
is
wonder if he's going to
fascinating,
dare.
and I wonder whether
Someone is demonstrating. Yeah.
wow. This is a
Astrosphere
gyro. My.
I wonder.
I guess they're not going to allow him
thinking
to
about it.
participate. You can see the wheels
Yeah,
going. Eh?
that's right. I'd like to try this.
My darling Diana, should I or should I not try this?
Maybe
haven't been
Premier
on
Ray
that?
will.
Have
no,
you been
I
on that?
haven't.
Yes, I think we should.
Anytime I've been there, it's been quite a lineup, and I haven't. And I don't know that I'd go. Not that I'm
Someone
afraid.
in,
I just
dress
don't think
uniform
that.
there. Isn't that beautiful? With the, with the
that is
braids and
lovely.
the in the royal blue.
It's part of the royal entourage, I would think.
And of course, they are staying in Toronto on the Royal Yacht,
That's right.
which I would think at that point maybe they can be a little bit more themselves. Do you think?
I would. I would
mean, as
dare
opposed
say.
to staying in a hotel
That's right.
somewhere.
It's more their home away from home is on the yacht. Britannia, is it?
Yes, right. The Royal Yacht Britannia. I don't know how many crew, but
Oh, I think it would be a good size.
Science North began by a dream back, Louise, nearly in the mid-50s, when someone began to suggest maybe a mining museum. And that idea was bantered around until the 70s. And of course, our society changed in the 70s to an emphasis towards a science center, not just geology or mining technology.
That's right.
There's His Royal Highness there. Now again, looking at, it looks like core samples and different drill bits, different kinds of rock.
You'll be really
Taking the
interested in
time.
that.
Oh, now he's hitting those. They must
Oh,
be made
yeah.
of sound. What am I?
Like a
Perhaps you
xylophone.
could help me out, Keith. Is that a xylophone made out of core samples? Okay.
Too bad we can't hear it.
I wonder if he, what song he knows.
It's at the geosphere.
Okay, we're at the geosphere.
And it furrows the earth beneath our feet. Find a fossil and take it home. Monitor ground movements at an operating seismic station. Recreates the steps needed to separate metal from rock at the rocks to riches. Isn't that quaint? Simulate pattern of erosion. Pit your wits against the mining game, an original computer program.
So, and again, with that seismic station, when there was the earthquake down in California, it was registered here at our seismograph.
Is that right? And, that was at Dilley, wasn't it?
That sure was. And again, you wonder how you can pack so many years of exhibits and time spent into these first few moments. But having our society change in the late 70s and having an emphasis move towards a center for science and not just geology or mining technology, the discussion really became action when former chairman of Inco Limited, J. Edwin Carter, and the company's vice chairman, the late John McCready, made it known to community leaders that Inco was prepared to finance a study to define the concept of a science center.
Of course, and the corporate leaders were advised by the Director General of the Ontario Science Centre, Tuzo Wilson, that a science centre was feasible. So they held meetings with Mr. Justice James Jerome, and then MP for Sudbury, and
Doug Fifth, and the regional chairman, and then, of course, as you mentioned, Mr. Delke-Dozy. And now who is she petting? Is that Ralph?
At the biosphere. Well, it must be Ralph.
Is that Ralph?
No, it wouldn't be
it's
petting.
the
That's
beaver.
The porcupine. It's the beaver.
It's the I couldn't see there. It's the beaver.
I wouldn't want it to pet
Well,
Ralph.
now, you know, isn't that wonderful, eh? Isn't that wonderful?
She's feeling the coat.
I'm amazed by those animals and the way in which they build their homes and cut their wood.
And they're very, look how at ease he is. He's just loving it.
And everywhere she goes, Her Royal Highness receives more gifts. We've noticed now another envelope presented to her. She's had numerous bouquets of flowers that have been given. And you'd think
she's very interested. She seems to be asking a lot of questions. Well, the beaver's certainly enjoying it.
Look at that, and again,
he must be heavy.
He looks like he has been well fed and
spoiled,
well kept and spoiled, and
well, he should.
And now the Premier has decided to get his hands in on the beaver as well.
They're moving on now. Mr. Prince is already out of sight.
Mrs. Ray as well.
There we go. I'm in awe of her looks. I think she's just a lovely looking lady. So regal, friendly, and so much at ease.
I would think, Louise, that if you didn't learn to be at ease, that this would be a most stressful life. It's got stress inherent in it as it is, with so much attention being focused. But
and this is very different to what they're used to making calls.
Well, I would think so, and maybe hopefully a little more relaxed. You know, being able to look around.
Well, everything's so down to earth here. When we do have any kind of reception, I think we put people at ease by our reception, and I think they respond to that.
I think there's two ways to do it. You can be stuffy and formal, and that's one style. But I think there is a way of being very hospitable.
From that stuffiness, yes.
And of course, as had been commented, at this point in time, because their Royal Highnesses, he is not the king. So this gives him an opportunity to be less politically oriented.
Right. That's right. And be able to speak maybe a little bit more freely.
Yes, and perhaps she as well. Perhaps she as well. Once he becomes king, the role will change again as the head of state.
If indeed he does, Jeremy, there is some thought that the Queen would probably not abdicate for a long time, because look at Victoria, how long she was at the helm, and she's only 65. She could very well be there for another 20 years.
Certainly, most definitely.
And by then he just may pass the gauntlet to his son.
Yes.
And he may never really sit as king. It'll be interesting. I won't be around, mind you, to see that. But
Louise.
I would love to know ahead of time. I wish I was be able to see into the future. It'd be too bad if she didn't sit as our queen, because she certainly would be an asset to him as his consort. TV7 coverage of the Royal Visit 91 will return right after this.